Coach, finally we know that the deal is done. Kyrie is a Celtic. Has it sunk in for you and the difference now that it makes for him and his fit now not having LeBron with him on the floor?
You have to hope that this works out in the long term for Kyrie because he's a wonderful individual. He's a very talented, gifted player on the floor. He took a very strong stance in going into the front office with ownership and management and saying, I would like to move on somewhere else after just coming off of 3 straight NBA championship appearances, winning one, losing the other 2, and having the best player in the game right alongside you with a good chance to go back for another one at the end of this season had they stayed together. But he chose or elected to move on and pursue his career elsewhere. So you're hoping this works out for him because if he falls flat on his face, you're going to feel sorry for this young 25-year-old of what he might have had.
Here's the thing I've been thinking the last few days about this. You never get equal value for a great player in any sport when you trade them. Can you do better than Cleveland did here? I understand the hip with IT, but you think LeBron's going to go at the end of the year. Most important part is that Brooklyn pick because you feel like you can get a valuable young star to now build around in that next term.
The fact that they had no general manager in place for a while while this was going on, and the meeting took place and they were kind of sifting through everything, and then give Kobe a lot of credit, stepping in as a young 34-year-old, now the new head general manager taking Dave Griffin's spot. A lot of pressure was put on him, and he came through in the end with a lot of pieces. If Isaiah Thomas was perfectly healthy, maybe Boston wouldn't have looked to do the deal, but perhaps they thought that he might be missing some time for them this year and may not ever get back to being 100%, and that's why they were willing to go ahead and do this deal. But they gave up a lot, but they got an all-star player, an all-NBA player, a championship player who's 25 years old, has 2 years left on his contract, and by today's standards, pretty good contract.
And let's remember this, IT, with the heart that he had, you lose a family member, you come back, that relationship. I don't think anybody should question him in his battle back. But now you think about Cleveland and maybe LeBron's last run. Are they suited to a point where you feel comfortable saying they're still the favorites in the Eastern Conference?
If I knew Isaiah Thomas was going to be back as the same Isaiah Thomas, this guy averaged almost 29 points per game last year.
One of the best players in the league last year.
Exactly. So if you knew you had that piece coming back for Kyrie, he's 3 years older. Not quite as tall, big. You're not going to post him up like you can post Kyrie up against other guards. But you're getting that scoring ability, a shot maker, a guy in the fourth quarter besides LeBron James who will take and make big shots just like Kyrie was willing to do. But now the unknown is how healthy will he wind up being? When will they get him back? But they've tried to add some other veteran players. This is not a young Cleveland team. This is a veteran Cleveland team. Talk about, Rose and all the problems he's had, injuries, etc. Can they stay healthy to make this run through the regular season just to give them a chance to get back to the playoffs, and then you start over again from the playoffs?
Let's not forget this. They start the season against each other. I just want at some point LeBron gets switched off, ends up on Kyrie. Kyrie creative with the ball, 8 seconds left to go in the shot clock, one-on-one, everybody else away from the floor. Just give us that moment, which I think we'll get. We had a great moment today for Celtics fans as they got a chance to welcome Kyrie Irving and for Coach Brad Stevens to welcome back his old friend Gordon Hayward.
For Brad Stevens, it's like almost taking a giant step backward now. Here he has built this franchise since he's arrived, step by step, getting playoffs, going further in the playoffs, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. And the next thing is now trying to win the championship by getting to the finals. But when you look at that right there, 3 of those 5 players were not on the Celtics team last year. 4 of those 5 players were not starters for the Celtics a year ago. Looking at Brown moving into the starting lineup, yeah, they have a talented team, but now the experience that you gain of playing a season together, going through playoffs together, that starts over again for this group. And the coach has to figure out how to use them best. I'm sure he has some idea what he wants to do right now with those guys, but you have to put them together, see how well they play together, what your best units are, your substitution pattern. Is the depth good enough to get past the Cavaliers team? And then the number one factor every year is the injury factor. Can you stay healthy for the regular season.
When you lose Bradley, Crowder, you lose a lot of defense. Do you expect to see a lot of Marcus Smart starting at the point guard, maybe Kyrie off the ball to give them a tough defender at guard and let Kyrie just do his thing on the offensive side?
Well, who they'll wind up starting, I'm not sure that's the most important thing. Who they wind up finishing the games with so they can get stops when they need to at the other end of the floor. Kyrie, not known as a defensive stopper. Hayward, not known as a defensive stopper. Horford at the center spot, an undersized center, but a good defender, a solid defender. Brown, very athletic. Morris gives them a little bit of that toughness back that they lost with Crowder moving on. I think this defense has to be reinvented. He may do some things differently with this group that he didn't do a year ago because of the new personnel, and that's what the coach will figure out.
All right, well, we have figured out, again, the human spirit, and from the athletes to really everybody who has gotten involved to help those who have been in need in Houston. It's been inspiring to see all of the stories, and clearly NBA Cares and the NBA family has been a big part of that. To learn more about how you can support Hurricane Harvey relief, visit NBACares.com. If you care about all-timers, you'll want to know what's coming next. Sue Bird in the record books. Next on Game Time. News and notes around the NBA. Lakers fined $500K for violating the NBA's anti-tampering rule. That's a hefty fine. Spencer Hawes gets waived, and the Bulls acquire Quincy Pondexter and a pick. Pick of the litter on the tweets from Damian Lillard, coach. Says, you think LeBron has a shot to be the GOAT? Comes in from the tweet. He says, I don't think people will ever admit someone is better than Jordan, even if they are. Do you think anybody will admit someone is better than Jordan?
Yeah, there are a group of people coming up now, the younger people that know LeBron so much better than Michael Jordan.
I don't know any. Good night.